It's time for Q&A in the Kitchen. It's a podcast and YouTube series where tattoo artists and a piercer talk about some of the more common questions and topics that most people that collect tattoos and piercings and those that do them may have. Brought to you in part by Skin Kitchen Tattoo in the Axiom Body Piercing Studio. Well, today what we're going to talk about is taking your tattoo or piercing to the next level. Just to let you know who's here today on the panel, to my right, as he usually is Jack Lowe, tattoo artist and owner of Skin Kitchen Tattoo. I'm DaVo, I'm a professional body piercer and also own the Axiom Body Piercing. And then over here to my left is Brent, Starr, tattoo artist at Skin Kitchen. So kind of, who wants to start this one off today?
So the way I understand it is, so you would you be talking about someone that has an existing tattoo that they are wanting to expand on or improve?
We could do this either way.
Okay.
I think when you come out and get an initial tattoo or piercing, there's ways to improve just in that first setting, but also there's a lot of people, and you guys have a lot of customers that come in, and it's like, I got this thing done in high school by this guy in the corner, and he did a pretty solid job, but I need it flared. I need it fixed up.
Yeah, that happens tons and tons, really more now, just more than ever, kind of. I think a lot of those people that were really getting into it in the 90s, early 90s, and throughout the 90s, when it was really kind of exploding, you were seeing all the basketball players and sports players and famous people starting to pop up, and tattoos were becoming less and less taboo. So people, but tattooing was still kind of, you went in and they had a choice of design. You pointed at it and you said how big, and you got it stuck on there. There wasn't really, I don't think anybody was really looking that far forward and going, oh, this is going to be integrated into American culture and soon more of a global kind of a culture. And I'm going to be getting a lot of these. So yeah. So and I fall into that to some degree. I didn't have an overall plan or understand the impact tattoos were going to have on my life when I was first getting them. So I think being in the industry for as long as I have, and being a collector myself for that long, I've ran into that. And what I try to do when someone comes in is give that tattoo a story.
Yeah.
What is it? Whether it's a logo from your college. It's a crest. Okay, well, shit. How do you build on that?
Yeah.
Well, where is it? Oh, the crest. It's on the front of the school, which actually has a really cool entrance. It's got this neat kind of cathedral look, and it's really regal. And maybe if we put the laurel leaf underneath that with the school and behind it, like that. Logo is on the front of the building, then even maybe around we could do the oak trees, in the back, and even maybe finish it off with a really pretty sky. And so just no matter what it is, a logo or a boat, which that one's pretty easy.
Yeah, you just put ocean.
So no matter what it is, that really helps me kind of come up with a story for it and give it a place, instead of just floating in midair on a piece of paper as just a stamp, make it into something more, give it a personality or a life or a situation, and that will lead to a background.
Would you do a kind of a retouch on the old tattoo or leave it as is? That kind of, it's kind of 50-50 artist client on that. Sometimes the client can be very attached to that piece for whatever reason and want to keep it the way it is for nostalgia purposes, but wants to end up getting a sleeve. But how do we work that in? And that's very situational, but I can't think of a time now where I haven't been able to work it in somehow. One thing I use is, will kind of work with anything if it's just a turd in a punch bowl and you have no way out, but you can't just plow through it.
depending on what it is, put it on like it's drawn on a piece of paper, and that piece of paper is floating through the scene, whatever it is, and even creating a bit of a cast shadow down on the tattoo of your arm. You know, that memory is maybe just flowing through this piece that ties into it even somehow, whether even if it's a long way around, you know, there's a way.
That sense of motion kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not only that, you're creating depth in the overall tattoo. You can create movement with maybe the path that's taking with, you know, leaving some negative space kind of coming through the design, which adds even more interest and, you know, gives you even that much more to look at. So you're turning that thing that could be just, well, we'll just have to tattoo around it and just, it's just there, man. Well, yeah, if it's going to be just there. Maybe it's chiseled into a stone that's setting next to the, you know, animal that's, you know, tearing up your arm, you know. Maybe it's etched into there and there's some cracks coming off and some rubble around it. So you can...
I've did that with a little bit of old tribal black kind of, you know, it's kind of got that patina where it's kind of grayed a little bit. And, you know, the line work wasn't, you know, too, you know, sharp. And yeah, just kind of turn that into old stonework and stuff, and just keep on adding on to it and make it look like some really cool ancient kind of weathered.
Right. Yeah, because I've even seen like some old flash pieces that I don't even remember who this was, and it was part of a forearm quarter, and they did frameworking around it. Where like each one, so then they did the background was more of a smoky and tied everything together.
Yeah.
Even though they were completely different topics.
Yeah.
The other thing I've seen is like the Nicholas effect or compass effect with like the chain coming off of it and everything else, like it's isolated in that spot.
Yeah, framing it. Yeah, that's kind of your two choices. Goes into one of two camps, you know. Either we can blend seamlessly this item into the scene that we're creating and it becomes a part of it, or it's framed off and it is its own actor in this scene, like the paper kind of drifting through this other artwork. So it doesn't have to relate necessarily. Yeah. It can be its own style. It can be a completely different style of tattoo, which in my opinion would make it only look that much cooler because of the contrast. And flow it right in, and it's like, just making that tattoo.
Like one of the biggest things, and Sherry would joke about this when I was doing this sleeve, was I wanted things layered. I wanted it on top of each other.
Yeah.
Because it seemed more real and more fluid.
Yeah. Because there's two camps. Either it's a picture on your skin, or it is a picture in your skin.
Yeah.
So, like, you've got a good example with your heart. Is that okay, there's blood dripping down, and it kind of looks like as if the heart is kind of coming out of your skin, sort of, you know, like it's interacting with your physical body. Your body isn't acting as a piece of canvas. It could be anything, not even a body, and it would look the same. It plays with your anatomy in the fact it's interacting with the skin. Either it's tearing or there is a physical deformity happening on the actual flesh. So that can determine and be another way to isolate a tattoo. Okay, well, you've got this beautiful dragon, but your skin's been ripped open and underneath there's this other tattoo.
Yeah.
So you're creating that frame, but you're working in your kind of playing with the fact that there's both going on. It sells the fact even more that dragon isn't, you know, is a piece of artwork, 2D artwork, but your skin is 3D and is being and the 2D is being affected by the 3D. So it kind of plays with your mind a little bit.
Kind of breaking that fourth wall, kind of.
I kind of always imagine it's like there's a table and you have all these photographs, and you throw all the photographs randomly on the table. Yep. So they're going to be layered in different levels, and different things are going to be going on and how it comes out and how it presents.
Yeah.
One thing we need to talk about is artist's eye and flow, because that, especially with piercing, that makes a huge difference in the outcome, in the difference between you have that, and a, wow, that looks really, really great there.
Yeah.
And that's something that comes with experience of learning how to do that. And even, let's say it's a misplaced tattoo, there is still ways that you can do, you know, stuff in the background to make it more flowy and make it fit more into that space, even though maybe the artist that did the first one wasn't really
missed the mark.
kind of miss the mark a little bit.
Yeah, and that all comes down to just basic art skills and knowing about balance and placement and how things visually need to be laid out to subliminally. Really, it's not a conscious thing. Subconsciously feels right.
Yeah,
There's a way of placing, especially on the body, how you pile the weight and how you direct the eye and when and with how much emphasis on what to make the eye do what you want it to do. And that's kind of a battle sometimes from artist to client because there's levels of trust there and levels of ego. Mm-hmm. So you, as an artist, you kind of have to read your client really, really well and kind of know what you can get away with within that space. Because some people will give you full autonomy to where I don't have to understand it right away. I trust that your knowledge and what you do, even if I look at it and don't understand it, that's not important, because I realize you are the one that needs to see this, and I trust that when we are done, I am going to love it. And other people aren't that giving. So, if we're doing this, disgusting, gross, black silhouetted beast crawling up out of the forest, and we have, and he wants a cool moon in there, well, all right, that moon has got to be placed and done in a certain way to sell the overall tattoo. So if in your mind this tattoo is all about having an excuse to have a cool moon, well, maybe there's other ways to go about this because your eye is only going to be focused on this moon, where your artist is going to be focused on how does this design look when you look at someone and go, oh, there's a tattoo there, before you even know what it is. Does it look like it belongs there? Does it make their body look more interesting? Does it look like it's not fighting their body but flowing and drawing your eye in, and not just going, oh, I'm going to make this moon fucking cool, So you got to know your client, kind of be able to read their mind and know what they're really wanting and be able to give them that, even though they really don't know that that's what they want.
Yeah.
It's a real
juggling act.
Yeah, it's a skill. It's a thing that you can't just learn overnight, and it's just kind of reading your client, and that leads to way less strife. Way fewer misunderstandings. Is kind of knowing what to do with what you got.
Sure.
Yeah.
And another thing I was just thinking was, just time in the chair. Is going to be a pretty big factor. Really, just the overall,
on whose side, the artist side?
Well, just from both sides, just the amount of time, because everybody's only got so much money to spend on a project, and or for whatever reason, comfort levels on pain tolerance and stuff like that. You can really make a tattoo really pop. It's really easy to overdo something, with over detailing, over saturation.
Yeah.
But that could be a pretty big factor.
It's another constraint. Yeah, it's another fence to have to contend with.
And we've talked about this, how people go in and they're like, how much for this tattoo? And then they come back with, well, can you do it for 120?
Yeah.
And it's like you start chipping away at the overall vision. Mm-hmm. Do you guys find it easier if the approach when the person comes in is like, I want this and this and this, and I have a budget for this much?
Kinda, yeah.
It helps to at least be upfront about where
that's more important.
Pricing is going to be, capped, basically. So that way that you're not going to overextend anybody.
Yeah, I try to give the person kind of a best case to worst case scenario, and typically it falls somewhere within. Mm-hmm. Best case, things go well, probably 3 hours or so. Shouldn't be more than 3. Worst case, probably 5.
Yeah.
So that's, can you live with worst case scenario and still pay your bills and be comfortable with the tattoo? I can't. I'm not saying it probably will be that, but me giving you my best guess, I cannot see it taking longer than this, and it probably will be at least this much.
Yeah.
So, and that helps people. And if at that time they're like, yeah, I really am at a hard, I've got this money to set aside, then I decide, okay, how much time am I willing to put into this project for what they're willing to spend? And then I work it out within myself. Okay, my hourly is this, so really if it took that long, but this piece is special to me, or I've been wanting to do this type of tattoo, or maybe even the client is just a really interesting person and you have a good energy with them, and you feel that good things happen and good art happens when they're there, and it's worth spending a little extra time. All that stuff can come into play, I think.
Yeah.
And it's up to us mainly as a artist to dig around and ask the right questions in the right way to, like I said, know what they really are wanting, even though they might not really know, but there's questions you can ask, and the way you can ask them that they can tell you, oh, okay, you like more fine line, and you like the little pops, the little reflections, because that's this common layer, because you've got kind of an old school, thing going here, but they have got a common flow, even though it looks like they are all across the board. And as an artist, when you first see it, you're like, what do you want? Yeah. So it can lower the stress on both sides, with seeing what you got, being realistic, but knowing what the client is expecting. What are their expectations, because they've got the internet too.
Yeah.
And they've seen crazy things that are so photoshopped and fake. AI has made it, 3 seconds ago, and it took them 0.4 of a second to do it. And, and hopefully your artist's been doing it long enough where they know where a fantasy ends and reality begins,
right,
and can dig around and tell you whether your idea is falling on what side of the reality line.
And how it's going to wear.
Yeah, is a big, and those are all the expectations, and that's getting to know the client. Are you kind of stuck in this, oh, I know red doesn't stick.
Yeah.
How many times in my career I've heard that. And it's old wives' tales like that still kind of creep in and become fact in people's minds. So when they come in, they're almost battling against you because, no, that doesn't work. Like, no, it does work. It absolutely does. So then there's a battle there where, man, trust me. And that all takes energy away from that final product. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't, that there aren't times that you should be apprehensive, especially if you've done your homework on an artist and things like that. But being able to realize and go, well, I didn't do the greatest job when I chose last time. I'm going to hand this one over to a qualified person that I found through research and actually looking this time.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard to find an artist that's going to tell you otherwise. Like, no, you tell me where do I put this? No, you just show me. The more that client feels, that artist feels comfortable with you, that you trust them, that you've conveyed what you want, and he understands it, she understands it, the more relaxed and the better that tattoo is going to come out, and really the more bang for your buck you're going to get, because things are just going to flow and happen. And when you can communicate and you can start kind of reading each other's minds, it's a freight train, and really cool things happen.
Yeah, that's when the magic happens.
Yeah.
And I think budget does play a big part.
Yeah,
I think for a lot of people, mainly because we've all been shown the tattoo, and they're like, what do you think of this? And I rarely will comment on any of it, other than, oh, do you like it? And they'll say yes or no, and then we'll take it from there.
Basically, what Dave is saying is he tries to make it as awkward as he possibly can.
Well, it's because I don't like criticizing other artists. I don't know how far along in the process they were.
You could just give an honest answer, and just say, "Oh yeah, it's looking good. Are you good? Are you? Is that as far you're going to take it, or what are you doing?" You can just be honest.
With me, I used to be that way.
Oh,
and then for a while there, I was like, "Can I lick my finger?" And then I'd rub it and go, "Oh, see, it doesn't come off. It's a tattoo."
Oh, shit.
Because it just got to a point where I was out at a bar and there'd be eight people walking up to me asking my opinion.
You could just say, "I don't care."
Yeah, that kind of is where it got.
Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, but look at it and you're like, well, that's an $80 tattoo. It's easy to say, you went in someplace and you had that much to spend And you told them that's how much I have to spend. So they did $80 worth of effort on that.
Right.
And sometimes letting your artists kind of expand on that price is going to make a huge difference, just because they're going to be able to spend more time on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can guarantee you, if you give them the option to do that,
yeah,
they're going to race with it.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to end up with something that's going to be a little bit more special than what, I got $200 to spend.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that's a really good point, because if someone comes in, and we'll just go back to the beast and the moon idea.
Yeah.
If they're wanting something like that, and in my opinion, it would really look great as a upper arm piece. And man, the way I'm seeing it, really awesome. But you're looking at this much money, which you're not comfortable with. And I know that. Well, then we can strategize. Hey man, there's a way I can do this in stages to where it won't look like you're walking around with an undone tattoo. And when we're done, it's going to be dope. But we can really break up the sting of the money it's going to take. And we'll do the beast first. We'll do that a lot of that silhouetted darker stuff, which is really a lot of the heavy lifting and a lot of where a lot of the work will be. I'll leave the upper space where that moon is going to crest up behind those trees, and the dark clouds are going to be coming in. That's going to be mostly left open, but I'm going to put some wash in there, and the way it'll just look like this fine mist kind of coming off the top of the trees, and so it'll look finished. So when you come in and I add that sky, that little bit of a mist, I can use or I can cover up.
Yeah.
Really easy, and it won't affect anything.
It just really expands it.
Yeah,
and
it allows them to get twice the tattoo, because I know, okay, you've got this to spend, but this is a great idea that would look, and then you've got I'd rather get it a little smaller and just do it as a piece on my calf. Awesome, because that'll look good too. It'll be different, but it's still going to be awesome. And you're comfy. You got what you want. You didn't go to the moon and get a half sleeve. Like, of course, your artist is going to want to go as big as you will allow, and big not just in size, but in the scope of the idea and how much fun you can have with it.
Badassery.
Yeah. How much energy, and really how far do you want to go with this, So if you're honest with that, a lot of times you're not cutting off the artist at the knees by saying, hey, I'm working with a budget. They're people too, and they got to replace tires on their car out of nowhere too, and I ain't judging with the budget you got. Everybody's got a budget, but there's ways that you can strategize around and stretch out the thing to where at the end of the day, you did pay more, but it wasn't a big sting out of one. We did it in a way to where it fit right in, and you ended up with something super badass that you're super proud of, and not only proud of the tattoo, it looks so great, but that you did the right thing and you took your time and you got the piece done right.
And
like
almost that longer wait makes the achievement even more fun.
Yeah,
it's part of the story,
and it gives you more time in a lot of cases to build a relationship with your artists and kind of begin to understand how they work, and whether you get better at communicating with them. I think is a good way of putting it.
Everything. Sure. Yeah, the tentativeness there between artist and client, and the client, a lot of times they haven't done a big piece before, or it could be their first time. They are super intimidated. Yeah. They really don't know what to expect. It could be the first time, all they've seen it on TV, and so they don't know what's right. And you got these bald, creepy people crawling all over the place. No matter how nice they are, there's that's not real. So and all that gets in the way. So being able to relax and understand that you're not being judged. Trust me, you cannot surprise me.
Yeah.
With the design or the story, because of the design, there's no way you're going to beat the Indian man riding the thumb holding a syringe. And don't even get me started. So, just communicating.
Or the dragster penis.
Dragster penis is a good one. Yes.
Nothing shocking.
Oh, boy. Yeah. So, don't worry about it. You're not going to. It takes a lot to really stand out anymore, So just being straight up honest, I feel you, man. I know that what it feels like to have that that lonely thing sitting out in the middle of the space, and you're like, dude, help, I want to help, yeah.
And I've actually been considering changing how I approach certain piercings as far as jewelry selection, because generally what we'll do is we'll go to the case and we'll go, well, this is this amount with this, and this is this amount with this, and then this goes all the way up to here. In some ways, especially if we're doing an upper ear cartilage where there's a lot of room for imaginative designs, they're going to fit the flow of the ear better and look better. It's almost more important what that jewelry is going to look like initially in that position than it is where you're getting, what style you want at that moment. So knowing how much money you're willing to spend is going to be the difference between if you come in and I got $75. Well, there you go. That's old Jim. There's 20 to choose from. But if you come in and say, well, I don't know, I'll spend a couple $100 if it looks good, then that opens up pretty much everything in the case, which means I can work with gold, which means I can work with lab-grown diamonds and all kinds of other stuff, or maybe talk you into doing multiple piercings to kind of accent it even better. So, yeah, I've kind of slowly started to switch to that when it comes to certain piercings that we have a lot more variety in, and it can heal correctly.
Yeah.
I mean, with nostril piercings, there's a few options you can do, but you pretty much need a single point gem of some sort.
Yeah, so kind of knowing their expectations, because just when they come in, you don't know if they're seeing something really elaborate and building on something, and they look at this as a hobby that they're really they're looking to get into, and they really think they're gonna like, or if it's more of kind of like a personal dare, and just to kind of,
it's a one-off.
We're all in that industry where there's people that do it like they do jumping out of a plane. They want to kind of test themselves and see how brave they are.
Sure. And part of that is increasingly over the years I've learned to ask, what are your long-term plans?
Yeah, what are your expectations?
And it's like, we're especially on ear work, because a lot of people think at that point in time, it's like, I just need these earlobe piercings and that's all I'm going to ever want. And then 2 months later, they're back to get something else. Then they're like, well, I want to do 2 more sets or 3 more sets, and there's just not room for it. So it's more important for me to go, do you want to leave that door open? Do you not want to leave that door open? Because it's going to be much more difficult to come back 6 months from now and try to fit this in here. And when we try to fit things in, they don't look as good.
Do you find, do people commonly, are they concerned about that? Do they have forethought?
A lot of times, unless they're a hardcore fan.
Yeah.
There's just certain people that, they have their whole ear planned out. They have their planners.
As a percentage, how many people would you say
I would say planners are probably 30 to 40%.
Yeah.
They've at least got 2 or 3 more piercings in mind when they come in to get that piercing done.
Yeah.
It probably falls in about the same percentage, for tattoos.
Exactly. Yeah, there's some people that are really, now how easy is this going to be to tie in, and that really have thought it out and are practical about that. And then other people, they're just like, well, I want that, and then they'll with no mention of anything, and then I want that, and you're kind of okay, so you do it, and then all right, now I want to do this, and then you're like, are you going for something here? Yeah, I want a sleeve. I'm doing this. I'm like, okay, that's something I could have known 3 appointments ago. If I would have known the overall plan and where we were going, I would have approached this 100% different.
I seem to be asking that question quite a bit more anymore, just with the, are you planning on getting more tattoos in this area? What are your plans with, expanding on this? Or, are you going to get more tattoos?
Yeah.
There's just a lot of ways that could go.
Yeah, because whether you're the artist that works on it or not, the end of the day, you want that client, when their sleeve is done, to like the spot you did.
Sure.
And how you did it to where it worked in with other things.
Yeah, because if it's left open for, if another artist is going in to, do something else, you want to set them up to make your
success.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to shoot them in the foot anymore, and you want to shoot your own self.
If the person comes in and they want an armband, and they want it mid-bicep, and they want to do another one down here in the middle of their arm, you need to have that discussion with
Yeah.
them. Like, hey, that's some big space you're taking up. Are you going to do more armbands around there? How are you going to tie that into something else?
Yeah.
And I don't think that thought comes to most people's minds when they're doing that perfect symmetrical line and stuff on their arms.
That and that was huge with the old tribal craze and the barbed wire craze, the Indian style feather headdressy things.
Dream catchers.
That completely draws a border, just scrapes a plow through the field to where, okay, you decided that this is one and that's one, and you can plow over them, but man, it is one of the toughest things to try to make disappear than a freaking dark, thick line all the way around, because you have to blend through that all the way. You can't leave. It is really tricky.
Yeah, it takes some real talent and time thinking just to craft something around that.
How will that work?
Yeah.
Probably the piercing equivalent on ears would be industrials. And I try to put that in people's heads that not only is it a very extremely hard thing to heal out in the first place.
But you got to tell us what an industrial is.
Industrial is, if you look at your ear sideways, there's a helix that goes all the way around. It's that kind of ridge that most people have. So industrial traditionally goes from helix, which is right where your ear, kind of just above where your ear connects to the front of the head, to the back through that just ridge. So there's a bar there. So you have that bar there, and it's taking up a lot of real estate. There's not a lot of room to do additional stuff.
I never thought.
So, that upper scopula area that people often refer to as flats or helixes gives us a lot of room to do a lot of different designs and combination of designs, especially with jewelry and attaching and so forth, that can make an ear really pop. Now, if you have that industrial there, you just basically, it's like just marking off that. It's the equivalent of putting a line right in the middle of your arm.
Or tattooing right down your spine.
Yes.
Which is okay, because you have two panels now.
Yeah.
You can do two completely different panels, or two panels that work really cool with each other, fire and ice, death and life, and whatever, mean and nice, whatever. So there's a lot of ways to go, but you are drawing this definitive right through a big open field.
You're not going to be able to get, like a giant pictorial style tattoo, which is traditional with back pieces.
Yeah,
right.
You're not going to be able to get rock to ages.
Yeah, you're kind of painting yourself in the corner and like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Just wait for this to dry.
Yeah. Yep. And but you can go back to okay, well, we can do the 2D 3D trick. We'll make that a barbed wire 3D shadow, a 2D that's shadowing 3D down on to whatever. Say you had that tattoo first, and then you wrapped a piece of barbed wire around your arm. That painting, that piece of art underneath doesn't know or have to care that barbed wire is even there. Then the barbed wire will lay over the top and cast a shadow onto that piece of artwork that is now on your arm, because that barbed wire is on your arm. So you could work with it.
Or another idea I had is if it was down the center of your back, working it into like the frame of a window.
Yep, exactly.
And then you're looking into the window and seeing what's going on in there.
Yep.
With this barbed wire and all this other stuff in the center.
Yeah, you could just frame in the center, whether it's a column and it breaks over and there's an opening with the edge of another column coming down, creating these two spaces. Well, now what's going on behind the columns? It's one scene. It carries from one to the other, but you're looking through out through these columns or out a window. And now, because of that spine tattoo, that made that image behind it that much more intense and cool, and make you feel like you're kind of peeking around, and it pulls you into that art way more than it would if it was just that piece on the back.
Kind of like the famous, I can't remember which artist did it, but it's like you're looking through a keyhole, and there's a pin up in there in silhouette.
Yeah.
And that makes it so much more impactful, just basically because you feel like you're doing something.
You're participating in the art.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's dimensional.
Yeah, it pulls you right in to where you are in this space, and it's got infinite depth to it, because it's just forcing that perspective into your brain so much that your brain is really kind of helpless, and you have to force and remind yourself that this is just a flat piece of skin or paper or parchment, whatever.
And that is the perception, like the way you perceive things is really important. Like just that extra, depth perception kind of, element, adding that into an older tattoo or existing tattoo is kind of fun.
Oh, it's all the fun. Yeah.
Because you can adjust the light source. You can think about where that's from. You can kind of almost think what's going on outside the window that's affecting us.
Exactly.
And totally change and make the tattoo pop more.
Yeah. It's tons of fun. But you can get away with certain levels of that depending on your client, because it's really hard to convince some people to step into that third eye and to be able to imagine that, or if they can't, trust that you can. So you pick your battles and stretch that boundary as far as you can, because some people really love the more bizarre and more forced perspective, and they can really wrap their head like, oh yeah, that really makes it look dynamic.
Yeah.
Other people look at that and go, why is his hand so big?
Yeah.
So, right. And the end of the day, my number one goal is I want the client to be stoked with their tattoo, not me.
Right.
I'm stoked because I get to do it, whatever it is. But that all comes down to you trusting and conveying that to the artist and giving that artist as much legs as you're willing to give, and I guess pay for, however it may be, to get whatever you got shined up and looking pretty.
That communication, it's important.
Oh, it's all about the communication.
That and have the imagination.
Yeah.
And I know this sounds kind of corny, but it's like if the client doesn't have that imagination of what is possible, or they feel restrained in that way, or maybe they've had experiences in the past where like they were told they can't do that.
Yeah.
It's like I always say, it's like, the first time anybody said to me, don't be that way. My response was, why? Why shouldn't I? And they never had a correct answer. So from that standpoint, it's like, you have to have that imagination to go, well, why isn't that going to work? And even dig in with your artist and go, so what's the reasoning behind that?
Yep.
And just ask some questions, because there might be a solution the two of you can come up with.
Yeah, and you knowing, kind of, I guess what's required to have a successful touch-up, expand on, or cover up, whatever it is asking those questions. Well, why can't I use this snowball to cover this tribal armband? Well, because the snowball is round and it's white. So, well, your arm isn't round.
It's not white.
If you had a snowball and you held it up to your arm and you lifted your arm up, did you see the rest of the armband? Well, yeah. That's reality. You're good. Then that's why it won't work, Yeah. Or, because, it's not, you don't saturate in white. And the way the pigment works in the skin, it's not like painting over a wall. It's mixing with. White isn't going to overpower the black enough. There's not enough room to put enough white in that black to cover it up. So you got to think more in terms of this. Oh, cool. Boom. Now you've totally fast forwarded, and you're not looking at snowballs and white mountains and all these line work tattoos that you want to cover this tribal with. Now you realize, oh, that was a silly thing. Didn't understand it.
Saved hours on Pinterest.
Yeah.
You can spend that time doing other more constructive things, like looking at like not white tattoos.
And I'm sure Jess could attest to, there'll be people that call in and say, yeah, I want to get tattooed. Okay, bam, go through the whole setup process, get the appointment, bam, 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 come in, and it's a cover-up. They never even mention that it's a cover-up. So people, and other people come in and go, oh my God, I got this. And you're like, what? You don't... Oh my God, I got it when I was 12. I fell on a pencil, and it's just been there. And is there anything you can do?
Oh, I can barely see it, but okay.
Yeah.
Well, now that you pointed it out.
Right. So, the person might think it's the worst thing in the world and it's not, or have the worst thing in the world and think, well, why can't it just disappear? And then it's our job to go, well, these are the reasons why. And the client hopefully understands that, hey, we want you to leave it the best thing we can give you. And these are this is what I feel I can do for these reasons. And I mean, your judgment didn't work out that good the first time, man. So maybe, loosen the rope a little bit. And if you did a good job talking to people that you like their tattoos, and then you've looked at their work, man, relax. You trust yourself. Trust yourself that you did the work this time, and now it's your job just to convey to that artist what you're going for, and let them go.
Yeah,
and let them go. And if there's any time that you don't feel that they're 100%, then just make sure you go over it until you are. There's no reason to have that gray area up in the air and hope for the best. Just do the best you can in conveying. And if you feel like you're not, just say that, man.
Right.
I am just not getting there. Nobody's fault. Everybody's a little different and communicate a little different. So what I like is pictures. That's why I say, you can't have too much reference.
No.
So, anything you can show me that gets me into your brain will help that end, that first kind of misstep could turn into really, really cool things down the road. So
sure.
Just me knowing what your expectations are helps a ton.
What somebody really likes from one person to another can be wildly different, style wise, and just having that little bit of reference on what you think popping a tattoo is.
Yeah, just overall tattoos, even if you don't like the subject matter.
Right.
Like, I don't know why I saw this. I like the way it looks.
Yeah.
I hear that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Good, because I need to know what you like.
And
and
that's
what
really
do you like about it.
Yeah. And why? Well, and they don't have to tell me a lot of times. If they bring me several, I know what they like about it.
Kind of deducted the.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can see the common things, and there's a handful of things that people typically will gravitate towards. Whether it's that bold simplicity that's stamped kind of a 2D. Or the people that really like the fine detail that doesn't look like it doesn't look like a tattoo.
Yeah.
More of that 3D thing. And that's pretty easy to narrow it down that much just by a few pictures.
As I always put it, do you like drawings with pencil, or do you like abstract art that's done watercolor? Because that's kind of the two extremes, in my opinion. And, everything kind of falls in between the two of those.
Right.
With piercing, what I generally like, the number one reason why we will kind of screech the brakes on you is generally anatomy, if you don't have the correct anatomy. And if you get into that situation and the piercer says, hey, I don't feel comfortable doing this because of this, and they'll explain why your anatomy is not perfect, what you need to ask them is, well, what is my anatomy good for? And they could probably come up with 2 or 3 very creative ideas of how to pierce that, especially if they're really experienced and come up with something that's going to be uniquely to you, and something that no one else has, because no one else has that ear or what have you.
That's half of what you're paying for.
Yeah.
Really, is the creativity of that person who that's what they've dedicated their life to, is how do I place these beautiful sparkly things on the human body to make both of them look awesome.
Exactly.
That's what they do, so it's usually, again, do your homework, but it's usually a really good idea to trust those people, and because there's been times in my life where I've gone both ways, and almost always when because I thought I knew more, or, well, you don't know me, I went one way. After enough time, I'm like, yeah,
that was a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, but that's my choice, and maybe it didn't have to turn out that way, but it does seem to generally do that when I'm dealing with professionals that are well-meaning. Yeah. There's those people out there that'll upsell you to death just because, hey, that's more money for me, which but that comes down to you and vetting. And
one thing I always say, like, people, I think the general public maybe doesn't have a complete understanding of what flow is with the body. And the last person I kind of asked, gave me a puzzled look. I go, it's kind of like pinstriping.
Absolutely.
And they were a hot rod guy, so they got it instantly. They're like, oh, I'm like, you've seen it when it's really terrible, where it doesn't fit the body line. It doesn't seem like it's got any movement to it. Yep. It's just like it's like they got big pieces of cardboard and just drew on, just spray painted it.
Yep.
And then there's the ones where you look at it and it's like, man, that pinstriping should always been there.
Mm-hmm. If it wasn't there, it wouldn't look right.
Yeah,
it looks
it's
organic.
like I can't ever look at that car model again without that pinstriping.
Like it was born with it.
Yeah.
Yep. It
And that's what flow is.
Yep.
And it's a unique thing that I don't think a lot of other artists deal with. Possibly graffiti or murals, maybe to a degree.
Well, in automotive.
That's like the two areas where that's probably, in tattooing is probably where it's used the most. With piercing, it's more fitting that flow, especially when you're doing multiple piercings that kind of make it look like it's supposed to be there. And have that falling effect or whatever, depending on the jewelry.
Yeah, it's finding that visual balance with the overall anatomy and flow and movement of the muscles, the underlying muscles and tissues, and how those tissues move. There's an absolute art to it, and that doesn't mean everybody has to respect it at all. It doesn't. You can think it's bullshit, but to a lot of people, it
means a lot.
Just because you can't see that spectrum of ultraviolet light doesn't mean it's not there. And some people do see it. So, and to those people, it freaking matters if it's on or off, So, if you care about that, then let that person do their magic. And that doesn't mean you have to like it either.
Yeah.
You could, I suggest things all the time that either are completely disregarded or are a part of something or lead to something. But that's kind of like I said, what you're paying for is that, I do this for a living. I know the body pretty darn good. I got a couple anatomy books. And, this balances well with this. It creates this. It works with this muscle. And as you move, something you've never considered in your entire life on the planet Earth or any of those things I just said. I consider those things every single day of my life and have for over 30 years.
Yeah.
So, you can, what that's worth to you, mix that up with what you think, and let's make some magic.
It's like I've explained to people, that's why strip clubs are not as impactful anymore. I tend to be studying the body more.
No kidding.
More than I am anything.
It's a curse.
Yeah,
it's
it
a
is.
curse. Because
you look at things a lot differently than you used to.
We're going to get into a whole episode here, but no, I actually got kind of concerned that I was missing out on a lot of things and a lot of beauty, just a lot of. I wasn't looking at them and getting anything but how to apply it to what I do. I was working. I was always fucking working. I was never enjoying what it was for what it was. I was using it for my work.
Yeah.
I was working constantly. So I had to force myself to not look at it for what is making it. Look at it for what it is and take that from it, not a lesson. Turn your fucking third eye off in that sense.
It's hard. It's hard to do that because once you see something, you can't unsee it. Really,
it's like an NCL trick I used to do and I did this on my kid on a regular basis, and he absolutely hated it. And I used to do this with people I'd hang out with. They were like, "Oh man, she's so attractive," or "They're so attractive," blah blah blah. And I would just sit there and I'd go, "Yeah, but look at how big that forehead is." And once you see that, you can't stop looking at it.
It changes everything. That perspective, man. It's
because we don't really think about our heads that way, but our eyes are down here and our top of our heads are up here. It's a lot of space.
and if you're fixated on it, well, it's hard to get past.
Yes. And it looks weird when you think about that.
So cover your fucking foreheads, okay, people?
Hats. That's why we invented hats.
Lots of hats.
And tattoos.
Yeah.
So I think we've covered a lot of things in there. I mean, basically, I think the biggest things is if you approach the artist, I think sometimes more from a budget level than how long is this going to take. And don't worry. I think a lot of people think they're going to get ripped off if they just go, I got $1,000 to spend.
Yeah.
It isn't really the case, because I can guarantee you that most artists, if they're too freaking honest anyway, and if they're excited to do it, they'll probably do it for less than they should.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes approaching it that way is a little bit better, especially with piercing, because if you tell me I can spend up to this much, that's going to give up. That opens up the whole case.
Yeah, and sometimes you are exposing yourself if you like you say you're buying a car or something at a used car dealership or something. Yeah, you don't want to go in there and go, look, I have $5,000. They're going to give you as little as they can to get the $5,000. But we try to take a little bit of that out of here just by telling you straight up, this is what we charge per hour. This is about how many hours I think it's going to take. And I know I told you that. Mm-hmm. So if it goes over that, it could go over because I'm guessing, but I know what you're expecting too. So even if we did go over, if we started the tattoo and had the same idea till the end and I'm not as far as I thought we should be and it's no fault of yours, I'm going to consider that when I finish the price, when I price it that day. Because you come in, we work, I look at what we've got done, I look at the clock, and you're given a price. And you know that it's based off of that number. Yeah. So, okay, you've got that much. Well, then you've got about 5 hours that you can work with. What are you looking to get? Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, cool. Well, we wouldn't even need that long for that thing to look that cool. Or, okay, but if we did this, some designs, oh, man, you would want to do that size, or you'd want to do this just this much of that design to get the effect you're wanting. Yeah. So you're not exposing yourself in that case. It's letting the artist know what tools do I have to work with to give you the best tattoo.
Yeah, we just want to give the best product.
Because I think every artisan and craftsman, you think about building a house and you're putting in, I don't know, plumbing and you're putting in cabinetry. And, the guy's sitting there and he's going, I can do custom cabinets for you.
Sure.
And I would love to do it. That's exciting to me. I design them and everything else. Mm-hmm. Well, how much do you have to spend? And you go, I got $500. Well, let's go off to Costco and pick you up some ready-made because that's what you can afford.
Yeah.
And I think every artist is kind of constricted by that to a degree.
Yeah.
And I think often we tend to side more with the client as far as a good deal. I do.
Well, yeah. Well, sure. I always want to go, beyond the fair line to their side. So I am assured that if they are a rational, reasonable person, they feel that they were very well taken care of and they got they were treated very fairly.
Yeah. Because I want them back.
Absolutely. It's not a one and done. I've been in the town for a while. I'm sticking around as far as I'm concerned. And, I want to see you again.
I don't only want to see you again. I want to see all your friends, your relatives, your second cousin,
right.
that guy from high school. I want to see all of you.
Bring them. Yeah. So, I don't know. I can't speak for anyone else, but I've met a couple people in this industry, and man, they're incredible guys and girls in this industry, and we just want to make pretty things.
We do.
So I think that pretty much covers it. I should probably cover because I forgot to. Jimmy's off. He's probably not going to be in the next one either.
Is Jimmy not here?
Yeah. I didn't.
Oh shit.
Notice?
Oh wow. Weird.
It's so short.
Did not even. Wow. All right.
Yeah. He's off going to see Mastodon.
Mastodon and.
We were gonna have Capone here fill in, but he's not very talkative.
Yeah, he's.
In case you've seen him in the shot.
He's kind of in a nap mode.
He's hanging out.
So.
Anyway, till next time, here's hoping all your tattoos and piercings heal with ease and without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, we all hope to see your tattooing and body piercing needs in the future. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.